It's a wild world out there, but some worlds are even wilder. Hi, I'm Tyler Habney, and you're listening to Dungeons and Dystopias. Thank you for listening. Hello, and my name is Tyler Habney. Welcome to Dungeons and Dystopias. I have run over 200 combined games of Cyberpunk RED and Dungeons and Dragons combined, and I am here as a dungeon master to share some of my thoughts on the various aspects and parts and lores of the worlds that have drawn me to these settings and have made me stay. So without further ado, today we are here to talk about Cyberpunk, and today we haven't really discussed a lot about the different classes and roles you can play in Cyberpunk. So I think today we'd like to start not exactly a series, but something that should probably be done, a discussion on some of the various roles and life paths and different things you can play in Cyberpunk RED. And I'd like to start off with, I'd honestly say when it comes to Cyberpunk, mostly because of the video game, when you think of a Cyberpunk character, a lot of the times you think of Johnny Silverhand. And Johnny Silverhand is the de facto Rockerboy. That's right. Today we are going to be discussing the Rockerboy role, as well as the many different things you can do with the abilities you're given as a Rockerboy. So let's get started. So Rockerboy is basically the Cyberpunk RED equivalent of a bard. They use music. They're very socially situated. That, or they could build high into tech and be a guitarist or a keyboardist or anything like that, and not necessarily need that cool, though. God, let me tell you, having cool as a rocker boy will help. So basically they are the more social characters of Cyberpunk, and their role ability, actually does reflect that. In fact, pretty significantly. Their role ability is called Charismatic Impact. And Charismatic Impact is basically a measure of not only how skilled your rocker boy is, but the effect that they have on their fans. Like consider the difference between a Maroon 5 fan and like a Motorhead fan, and in the levels of sort of devotion that they might have towards any particular artist. No one's going out into the streets and rioting to Maroon 5 music. Or, people go crazy for Motorhead, but not so much for Adam Levine. So that's kind of that measure, where it is sort of how big your respective rocker boy is with the particular people of Night City or wherever you might be having your campaign. You could even have technically a world famous rocker boy or rocker girl if you get to Reputation 10, in which case you're pretty much going to have fans everywhere, and that makes Charismatic Impact even more successful in the sense that you're going to be able to find fans pretty much wherever you go. So that's why I think Reputation and Charismatic Impact they play pretty well hand in hand. Now, what is Charismatic Impact? I've kind of talked a little bit about what it is, sort of abstract, but in terms of mechanics, basically the way it happens is every rank of Charismatic Impact breaks down into about 4 different things. One is that it determines what kind of venues will hire you on to play. Starting out at rank 1, you're pretty much just going to be playing small local clubs like bars and stuff. As you get higher up, you're going to be playing more well-known clubs before eventually you're playing some of the hottest clubs in all of Night City or whatever city. And then you're on to small concert halls, the video feed for like news and stuff, larger concert halls. And then finally at rank 10, you end off on these international music videos and you're playing huge sold out stadiums. So obviously, the sort of growth from rank 1 to rank 10 is very noticeable. I'd say if you're building straight into your rocker boy role from the get go. And obviously, doing things to build your reputation, once again, will make that so much easier in terms of finding fans. But also, as you reach rank 10 Rocker Boy, you should also just be getting reputation naturally because you're playing all of these clubs and you're playing all of these different places. Maybe you could get reputation a bit faster if you do the Johnny Silverhand route and make like crazy protest music and raid towers and stuff. But, ultimately, I think a Rocker Boy should be getting reputation by just doing their job. Which is, in terms of the other classes and roles you can play in Cyberpunk RED, that's kind of unique. Media maybe has a similar effect where the more successful they are, the higher their reputation is likely to be. But even with media, if your character is a bad media, you could likely grow some form of infamy off of that too. And we will obviously talk about media in a future episode. It's one of my personal favorite roles. But this one is about Rocker Boy, so let's get back to it. So that's the first aspect of charismatic impact, is where your character can play and where they can typically be seen. Now, the other parts are a bit more important. These are what you mechanically can do. So these are your impacts on fans, and they differentiate the types of fans from single fan, a small group of fans, into a huge group of fans. So like a single fan, one person. Small group of fans is a group of up to 6 people. So, I mean, you could, 6 people to do some stuff. At level 1, you get maybe a few more people trying to befriend you in the streets. People will ask for autographs and stuff, but it's nothing major. And then the huge group of fans, this is like, I don't know, 20, 40, maybe an entire crowd of people. It's quite a large group of people. And in rank 1 and 2, you do not have a huge group of fans. You cannot impact a huge group of fans because that does not exist. However, in ranks 3 and 4, which is, by the way, typically when you start Cyberpunk RED, you do start at role rank 4. So unless you're starting at 1 and 2 for a specifically custom campaign, you are usually starting off at around this area where you can play well-known clubs. You can convince a single fan to do a major family favor for you. Maybe, put in a good word with a gang, maybe get you some recreational things. Maybe you can, try to convince them to do something for you. And chances are it'll probably work. It's a DV8, which means you're rolling your roll ability versus a DV, which would be 4 at this point. It'd be D10 plus 4, and which is decently easy to get a DV8 with that. At least you'd hope. When it comes to a huge group of fans, rank 3 and 4, you actually do have a small local following. And you will have, I guess, a little bit of extra money from fans buying your recordings and your merch, and all of that other stuff. So that's where you basically start. For most people, unless you're doing 1 and 2, you will be starting in ranks 3 and 4 for charismatic impact. So after that, we put maybe one role ability or one level up into Rockerboy. We get to rank 5 and 6. At rank 5, you can play large, important clubs like, I don't know, Afterlife, the Forlorn Hope, stuff like that. And then here's where we get really fun. Impact on a single fan. At ranks 5 and 6, you can impact a single fan to commit a minor crime. So you can have them, shoplift for you, maybe beat someone up or help you out in a fight or something. Just a small minor crime. But you can convince them to do it for you. And then, of course, we have the small group of fans, up to 6 fans. You can now actually have them as your personal posse. They can basically hang out around you and be your sort of orbit. And I mean, honestly, in terms of role-playing and having fun with characters, I think that sounds like a great time, especially for the DM. But seriously, I think a character like a Rocker Boy having their own sort of group or posse would be genuinely a pretty interesting sort of thing you could leverage as a rocker boy. You know, you've got your posse with you, your crew, your gang. And then finally for 5 and 6, on the huge group of fans, you have fans all over the city, often even maybe even nearby, people who are using the ability to browse other city nets are kind of taking a liking to your music. Fans at this point are oftenly pretty loyal. They will do major favors for the rocker boy in exchange for attention. So, like, you know, a large group of people might riot, or they might go after some sort of corporation or something in order to make their appease the person who they're a fan of, which is great. You know, if you're a rocker boy and you want to do it Johnny Silverhand style, get rank 5 and 6 charismatic impact, go in front of a large crowd of fans and be like, hey, riot now. Beat a TV12, and sure enough, that will likely happen. For moving up, we have ranks 7 and 8. This is where you can actually play concert halls and local video feeds. With single fan, your fan is now absolutely willing to risk their life for the rocker boy without question, so long as you pass a DV8. So if you go up to a single fan and you're like, hey, do this major crime for me, they'll do it. They'll absolutely do it. And they want to impress you. With a small group of fans at rank 7 and 8, you can then convince a group of up to 6 people to commit a minor crime. Just like before, that's like shoplifting, helping you out on a fight, maybe beating someone up. It's, pretty crazy. At rank 7 and 8, your large group of fans are rabidly loyal. They will fight with rival fan groups. They'll have fan information networks. And if your character is in a bind, they might even band together to help you out. So, like, I don't know, like sort of a GoFundMe situation, or maybe your character has been very publicly captured by a gang. Well, now that gang can expect a tidal wave of Rocker Boy fans to descend upon their location with anger in their hearts. And that will likely cause a big problem. Then we slow down a bit. We go up to rank 9. Rank 9 is one all on its own. At this point, you can convince your fan to commit a major crime for you. Meaning you can really get them to do some pretty crazy stuff, even more than risking their life. This is a ideological kind of thing. And we're not even at the top yet. Keep that in mind. There's still one level above this. For a small group of fans, you can convince a group of up to 6 fans to commit a major crime. Once again, do something major, do something crazy. And it does say beat someone up on this, so I guess that is a major crime, is to beat someone up. A night city, I don't think so, but that's beside the point. And then obviously your huge group of fans, you have brainwashed, rabid, loyal fans that are basically a cult. They will destroy property, riot for you. They'll kill for you. They will do terrible, terrible things in the name of your rocker boy. And then we get to rank 10. Rank 10 is like if we were Slash or if we were Guns N' Roses during the 80s. You know, we're playing huge stadiums. Our music videos are going international. Our single fan, they are willing to sacrifice themselves their entire life. They will suicide bomb somebody without question. Yeah, that's right. They'll just do it. There's really there's not going to be any argument from this single fan because they are that devoted to you. You are like Jim Jones to them. With a small group of fans, once again, 6 fans, you can get up to 6 people to risk their lives for you, to act as personal protection, which is more than a posse. This is people who are willing to lay down their lives to protect you because they believe your music or your message or whatever is that important. And then finally, for the huge group of fans, you are now a worldwide sensation. You have cult-like fans everywhere. And they will do almost anything for you if you asked. They are, and this is the exact terminology, they are a private army based now on the Rockerboys' charisma. So yeah, if you're looking for a private army in Cyberpunk, just get to Rockerboy rank 10. That's all you need to do. Obviously, using Rockerboy can be amazing if you use these abilities correctly. I mean, think about the amount of damage you can do just in general to basically anything if your Rockerboy is poised against a certain organization and has a high Rockerboy ability. The world is your oyster. But that'll be it in terms of discussing Rockerboy. Today, we'd like to move on to our metaphorical monster of the week. Let's talk about Euro Business Machines. This is one company you're likely not to really hear about in the Cyberpunk universe. I don't think they've had any amount of presence in 2077. Or really a ton in Cyberpunk RED in general. In fact, a lot of their stuff goes back into the 2020s. So Euro Business Machines or EBM, is a mega corporation that, much like IBM in real life, specializes on computer products, information technology, electronics, stuff like that. They are a very large corporation. In fact, I'd say they're likely one of the largest in the country of Germany, probably not too far after Rheinmetall and Sternmeyer. But in terms of EBM, they have done quite a bit that was what some might say is pretty bad. So during the 1990s, EBM got kind of famous because they performed, in quotes, the greatest free market hostile takeover in history. And this was when EBM merged with just a ton of other prominent computer and computer part manufacturers to the point where they basically became a roaring lion overnight. They had so much power in terms of high-tech manufacturing. They were really trying to consolidate that all underneath their umbrella. So that's EBM in the 90s. What are they like now in Cyberpunk RED? Well, it doesn't exactly say when, but at some point during the 2040s, EBM attempts a coup on the German government. It did not work out for them. Obviously, EBM is not in control of Germany or the German government anymore. They were unfortunately not successful in the same place that Savoil was in terms of taking over the Russian government. But man, did they try. Other than that, EBM is still a company, still active, even after trying to take over Germany. They have, in fact, sponsored the stadium in Pacifica that you can see in Cyberpunk 2077. So I guess there is a little bit of a presence for EBM. Not that it's exactly one that is very noticeable. But yes, EBM has offices worldwide in Berlin, Rome, Madrid, Paris, Stockholm, Helsinki, London, Tokyo, LA, San Francisco, Washington, Night City, Chicago, New York City, Hong Kong, etc., etc., etc. Genuinely, what a crazy company. And it really all ends with a stadium in Pacifica. So yeah, if you're looking for a crazy, power-hungry computer company in your Cyberpunk games, EBM is your deal. This is the one that will be most likely trying to consolidate power by taking over other computer manufacturing companies. Because, hey, that's what they've done in the past, and it's probably what they're going to do again in the future. So yeah, that'll be this episode of Dungeons and Dystopias. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you come back next week where we talk a little bit more about Dungeons and Dragons. As for now, though, I'm Tyler Hapney, and this has been Dungeons and Dystopias.